それが夜明け前のものであるなら少しだけ微笑ましい。何一つ形のない人のいない海だとしても、
それが君の心のあり方なんだね。何もないことが君の形だった。
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Foul Play NA, a Rogues Gallery production. Today we have a super exciting match for you. It's going to be Hawk versus Red Duck. My name is Father. My co-caster today is Keen, and observer is going to be IRK's Tim. Keen, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Not too bad. I'm excited to see some TVZ action. It's been a little while since we've got one of these on the Foul Play NA show match.
Yeah, for sure. It's always it's a rare treat to have a ZVT or any match against Terran for that matter in North America.
Not one of the more common races for sure. Map pool looks pretty solid today. We got Eclipse, Sylphid, Polypoid, Benzene, and Optimizer. Kind of a smattering different sources from those. We have some from the ladder, some from ASL, ASTL, but a good variety, I think.
Yeah. I was going to complain about how Terran favored most of these maps are, because I personally struggle with all of these. But I'm actually the one who picked this map pool, based mostly on ASTL and being current ASL maps.
No one to blame but yourself for these ones, I guess.
Yeah, it's just it's hard to find maps that are actually Zerg favored in this matchup. I think the only one where Zerg has a winning win rate is actually Benzene, which is kind of surprising me, because I associate Benzene with just like getting your natural blocked by like eBays and just all sorts of Terran cheese. But
yeah, it is a two-player map, which kind of lends itself like traditionally to being a Terran favored map, but the pro stats kind of speak otherwise on that one. But yeah, for the other ones for sure. I mean, Optimizer has something like a 67% win rate for Terran right now, maybe a little lower, but something around that in the pro scene. So this is kind of ridiculous. People really like going back on that map. The 3 gas obviously is just such a big factor. And yeah, Eclipse also another rough one for Zerg. 2-player maps in general, like I said, are just kind of hard for it. And once you take your 3 bases, it's really hard for Zerg to kind of get a 4th. None of the 4th locations are super ideal. But there's that double gas base in the top left. So if by some miracle you can hold on to that one, you're set up pretty well for the late game. And then, yeah, we got Sylphid and Polypoid, which are pretty balanced, but yeah, a little bit Terran favored on the pro scene for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Eclipse, I have seen some interesting games for sure with Zergs going 2-hatch Muta and then just trying to contain and stay aggressive with the Terran and taking that 2 gas base. And if they're actually able to control the Terran's movements enough and get that up and running and get to Hive Tech, it's like...
Yeah, 4 gas Zerg is nothing to scoff at for sure. And yeah, we got Benzene also, which is a new ladder map as well. I guess I shouldn't say new, but on the ladder it is. Have you had a chance to play it at all with the new ladder maps? Or?
I actually haven't had a chance to ladder yet this season, but I was considering vetoing it just because I'm not a fan of 2-player maps in general. But I think I'm actually going to leave it unvetoed and just give that and Ringing Bloom a shot. Although Plasma is obviously...
I mean, that goes without saying.
Yeah. So I think I might actually veto Plasma, Circuit Breaker, and Fighting Spirit when I do start laddering.
Yeah, I've actually heard a lot of people talking about how they want to veto Fighting Spirit and Circuit Breakers, and it kind of makes sense. I mean, as time goes on, we've seen people really figure out those maps, and both of them look pretty Terran favored on the win rates right now. So they are definitely like the old stable maps in a lot of people's eyes, but most of the players that have been playing a lot, especially for a long time, they're ready to see a change. It seems like most people have kind of figured those maps out for a while now.
Yeah. I mean, I actually like Circuit Breakers. I'm not a huge fan of Fighting Spirit, to be honest, but I kind of just feel like I want to have a little bit of a new experience. Like, I'm not super sold on Ringing Bloom, but it's at least a novel concept for a map. I kind of want to experiment a little bit with maybe trying to take another main base with like as a quick third and just trying to take advantage of the overmind sunkening positions.
Yeah.
I don't know how viable that actually is.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of TVZ VODs on that map, TVZ and TVP in particular, just to see what Terrans are doing and Zerg's in response. And it seems pretty solid for Zerg, just kind of due to the way the bases are laid out. They're so kind of far apart from each other. It's all on the perimeter. But at the same time, I mean, Terran seems like they can go for command center first pretty easily. So yeah, there's definitely trade-offs there. But not in the map pool today. Just another laddered season starting up. People are excited. People getting back into the game. They want that S rank Dark Archon icon. That thing is so sick looking.
Oh yeah, it really is.
I'm gonna be bummed if I don't get it somehow. Would be a miracle if I did, but I want it. It's in my sights for sure. But yeah, super excited for this Hawk vs Red Duck series coming up. I'm excited to see. Oh yeah, we got Red Duck coming up. First up, we got Red Duck. So far, he's been dominating in Nation Wars, going 4-0 for Canada. He also played in NASL 3, where he got to the round of 16, going 1-0 over Eon Zerg in Nation Wars, and also 1-0 versus Bandy. So those are some pretty big results. I mean, taking out Eon Zerg, that's definitely one of the top Zergs you talk about when you're talking about the foreign scene. So the fact that he was able to get a win over him is pretty indicative of how his TVZ is overall.
Yeah, I think I actually caught that game on stream, and if I remember correctly, it wasn't even like a cheese or anything. I think it was a relatively straightforward match where Red Duck just ended up getting an advantage against Eon Zerg's 2-hatch or a mutaplay, just by solid like M&M control, solid 2x timings, I believe. And yeah, being able to take out one of the premier like foreign Zergs, being such a new persona on the scene is pretty impressive.
Big deal. But his opponent, not going to be any sort of slouch at all. We have Hawk, kind of one of the ubiquitous North American players. Ever since I started playing, I've been hearing about him. He's just kind of a name on the scene that people always know about. And even when he's not practicing the most and competing the most, he's still a respected member of the scene for sure. Getting a round of 8 in NASL 3, and also going 2-0 versus Unco and 2-3 versus Gypsy in NASL 3. So both solid matchups. Gypsy definitely has one of the better Terran versus Zerg in North America, so going 2-3 against him is definitely not a bad matchup at all.
Yeah, Gypsy's TVZ is absolutely disgusting. So that is, despite being a loss, that is very impressive. And one of the things that I always love about Hawk is that he has such a unique take on the game. He has a lot of wild card build orders in his pocket, and definitely a very non-standard player at times. So I'm hoping that we see some interesting strategies come out from him.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how a new player on this scene, like his opponent, kind of goes up against an established player like this who has so many kind of builds up his sleeve. We'll see if he's ready for that kind of variation, or if he's going to come up with something of his own to dictate the pace of the game. But very excited for this matchup, and I think we're going to be getting into it in just a little bit, getting the players in the lobby. So yeah, I'm really excited to see Hawk's take on a couple of these maps also, especially like Optimizer. You said he has an unorthodox style of play, and when you have access to 3 gas like that, you're going to be able to do some interesting strategies. So I'm excited to see how he takes advantage of that in particular. But looks like we're going to be getting into our first map. It's going to be Neo Sylphid.
I'm looking forward to this because I know Hawk is a fan of third hatch builds, as in taking a quick third with a third hatch before you take your gas. And I know Sylphid is maybe we should introduce the players first.
Yeah, we can do that first. We got spawning in the bottom left. It is the red Zerg. It is Hawk.
And spawning in the bottom right, we have Red Duck, the orange Terran.
Yeah, so these are pretty solid spawns for both players. Nothing crazy like Terran spawning at the north position, which keeps them really open to air attacks, mutalisks, harass, that kind of thing. So these spawns will be pretty solid.
Yeah, for sure. I always hear that Terrans when they spawn at 12 o'clock, it's always a temptation to just go mech because it's so hard to deal with mutalisks.
Yeah.
Go bio. But yeah. Yeah, as I was saying before the game started, though, it's pretty tempting to take a quick third on Sylphid in particular because those high ground expansions are just so easy to defend.
Yeah.
If you get like one sunken up, it's almost impossible for the Terran to break it with bio.
Yeah, definitely. When you're going 2 rocks against 2 hatch like that, when you first move out with your first couple medics, if you can find the third base undefended, you can usually take it out. But yeah, like you're saying, just one sunken and your mutalisks coming to defend is usually more than enough to hold off the early Marine medic pushes. So we'll see how Red Deck approaches this. We have to keep an eye out to see if he's going to grab that 12 gas or if we're just going to go for a normal racks expand. And it looks like on the other side of the map, it's just going to be a normal 12 hatch. So nothing crazy like an early pool. It's going to be a 12 hatch, 12 scout.
Yeah, looking pretty standard from both players here so far.
And we're going to catch that Overlord, so we'll get off a first scout. And since we're going for gasless, we can just go for 15 command center, skip our second depot until after we throw that command center down. Since we'll be scouting the 12 hatch, no threat of early rings. So yeah, Redneck really can do whatever he wants from here. Next up is going to see when that gas comes down for Zerg. It looks like it was 208, so pretty normal for a 2 hatch timing. And the pool coming down also. So everything looks totally standard on that first scout from Duck, and he's going to take advantage of scouting first by putting down the command center at 15 supply. So just a little edge for him. He's going to get some more SCVs going into the mid game. Nothing crazy though.
Yeah, I really would like to see Hawk try to punish this a little bit, but it's so hard to actually force anything out of the Terran.
Yeah, definitely. You can go for like 6 lings immediately when your pool finishes, and sometimes that can force a bunker, but not always. Overlord getting a little bit ahead of itself, kind of getting pinned there. I'm not actually sure how safe it'll be at the bottom.
Yeah, that's a bit of a misstep from Hawk, I think. I guess he just wasn't paying attention to that, because now it's not going to be able to get really any meaningful scouting information.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was over one of the other ledges, he could actually see a little bit of the marine movement and so on.
I mean, knowing where your opponent's army is as Zerg is basically like the biggest part of the mid game in this matchup in particular, always keeping tabs on where the marine medic is. So even something small just like that is going to be really actually crippling to Hawk going into the mid game. He won't really know when the move outs are unless he has lings there to spot. So a little bit of a disadvantage there. And we see him going for the 6 lings like I was mentioning. We'll see if that forces a bunker out of Duck, or if he's just going to try and hold with good SimCity, or maybe he's just not even aware of it at all.
I guess he didn't actually scout that, so this might actually do a significant amount of damage if Hawk can micro this correctly.
Link's coming in now. Nice pullback on the Marine, but still looks like we're going to lose all these Marines here. Nice drill with the SCVs, but still not quite enough. All the Marines go down, and now things are getting a little bit troublesome. 3 lings in the main isn't the biggest deal, but resetting the Marine count like that is really harsh for Duck.
Yeah. There's just no potential for any sort of like 5-minute marine medic move out now.
Hawk is going to feel super safe at this point. He can skip all the sunkens. He doesn't need to get any sort of defense. He's just going to go all in on drones and mutants as long as he wants to, with really no threat of counterattack from Red Duck. And he's going to be forced to play a super defensive game, get his turrets up, and prepare for the 2-hatch meter that's coming in soon.
And I'm hoping this isn't reflective of like a little bit of lack of experience with Red Duck's TVZ actually, because like I wonder if he just was unaware of that 6-ling timing.
Yeah, it can catch you off guard regardless. I mean, we would have to have checked exactly where the SCV was scouting, but you can oftentimes miss a bunch of lings coming out of the NAT, and if you're just not paying attention, if you don't catch the lings popping, then like that happens, you just lose all your Marines, and now he's in a real rough spot. But definitely not unusable, and he's actually going to push out with these 5 Marines, kind of doing the opposite of what most people would think to do in this situation. His first medic's popping out, but there's already a sunken coming down at the natural from Hawk, so somehow he suspects that there's going to be a little cute, cheeky aggression. But as soon as mutas come out, he's going to have to retreat. I mean, 5 Marines and a medic is not nearly enough to compete with the first mutaflock.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing that he can do with those Marines.
But the Firebat's coming up. Maybe he'll try and like dive the Firebats in or something like that, but he has 6 Marines, 2 medics. Well, he thinks he can go for it. He's going to try and bust right now, but the mutas have to be popping out super soon. This one's sunken for now. Already halfway down, actually. So it looks like he's going to pop this, and here come the 2 Firebats as well. We're really just waiting on these mutalists to pop, and we're already losing drones. So a little bit of an overstep by Hawk, not quite preparing for this early stem timing.
Yeah, I'm actually, I don't know, I'm kind of speechless here. I was not expecting this to do this much damage at all.
Yeah, already a catastrophic amount of damage. It looks like we're almost going to lose the muted as well, and we're just losing so much mining time here. And he's not even going to micro, he's just going to get on top of this Marine medic and kill it, losing several mutalists in the process. So really a back and forth early game here from both players.
He actually caused Hawk to cancel his 3rd.
Oh, you're right.
Which is probably a good idea given the amount of damage that Hawk just took. But wow, I honestly can't believe that did so much damage.
Yeah, he went with that stem timing super early. I wonder what time his academy went down, because that must have been like super, super early compared to most players. And it makes you think, if he didn't lose those first couple Marines to that laying attack, I wonder how much stronger that attack could have been. And what if it was so many more Marines? Might have just ended the game. But as it stands now, both players taking some damage, dealing some damage, and now they have to kind of sit back and lick their wounds for a little bit as they continue building up. Hawk retaking that third base and trying to get some damage done with the Mutalisks, but it looks like he only has 5 right now, which really isn't that much. You're not going to be slaughtering mineral lines with that, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, Red Duck has pretty decent turret coverage right now, and before you get up to like 7 or 8 Mutalisks, it's really hard to do a ton of damage with Muta.
Yeah, but he is finding this one little angle. Might be a little bit more annoying as the Muta count picks up, because getting your Marine Medic from your main tier natural through that little choke is exactly where the Mutalisks want to hit you. So he's going to be guarding that ledge for sure, trying to catch any errant Marine Medic.
Getting that one Muta picked off by that turret hurts so much.
It's unfortunate. But things are looking standard otherwise. We haven't transitioned into Hydras or going for Hive Tech or anything yet. We're just sticking to Mutas and drones for now.
I think with all the damage that he took, he really can transition right now. He's actually still in danger. Like, if he doesn't do some damage with Mutas, I think it's just going to be bad news for Hawk.
Yeah, I think Red Duck could be waiting for maybe his +1 and then move out with a couple control groups of Marine Medic, and at that point, Hawk is going to need a decisive answer. Otherwise, he's going to be in quite a bit of trouble. But taking that high ground third, like you said, super easy to defend. Don't even need lurkers necessarily until you get into an overwhelming amount of Marine Medic. So yeah, he should be able to set up on this 3 base pretty solidly, but at some point Red Duck is going to have to get out on the map and start contesting things.
Yeah, but he already has a pretty sizable Marine Medic army, and Hawk has not done any damage whatsoever with these Mutas. So
yeah.
I'm from a Zerg perspective, I'm kind of like, I'm really nervous for Hawk here.
Yeah, and we already have the starport. It looks like it was over halfway done for Red Duck. Just going for 1 starport for now. Sometimes you'd see 2. Looks like he just wants to go for 1 and focus more on the Marine Medic. And right when the Mutas dive into the main base is when Duck is ready to move out. And there's just a ton of missile turrets there. There's no way he can get damage done with 7 missile turrets there.
Yeah, Red Duck identified that the only thing that could possibly lose him the game, really, at this stage, is like taking catastrophic Mutalist damage. So
yeah. And one thing you can notice here is Red Duck actually was splitting up his army for a second. It looks like he was going to have half of it stay back to hold back the Mutas and have the other half go straight into the natural of Hawk, which I would think would have been a great move. There's no sunkens there, just a couple of Mutas, but he decides to bunch up again and take his time moving across the map. Hawk really needs to whittle down this army, because if it shows up at the net in this health, in this number, there's just going to be no way for Hawk to defend. But forcing the Marine Medic ball to keep stimming, keep moving back, and taking off Marines here and there like this is really what you need to do. You're going to lose this Overlord for free, though, which is really upsetting for him, actually.
Yeah, it looks like he just forgot to refresh the Overlord that he was stacking his Mutalisks with, which is really unfortunate. Yeah,
and another reinforcement, a whole control group of Marine Medic coming across the map. Once these 2 balls meet up, it might just be lights out for Hawk if he's not able to continue whittling it down. And going for Valkyries, super smart, realizing that Hawk is pretty deep in the Mutalist game. He has the Hydralist in at his mat, but it's going to be a long time before lurkers are ready to go. And so if we can just get 1 or 2 Valks out, in the meantime, we have the +1 attack on our Marines. If we get a Valkyrie in there, there's just no amount of Mutas that can stop that.
Yeah, like I was saying, Red Duck correctly identified with the missile turrets and with the Valkyries that like Hawk is really just resting on these Mutas. If he can't defend himself or do significant damage with them, then it's just game over for him.
Yeah.
So Red Duck is really
yeah. And Hawk sees the Valkyrie, so he has to know that his time is coming soon. Terran wants to force a fight before Lurker Tech, before Hive Tech, and it looks like he's going to be able to take one. There's not even a sunken ready at the high ground at this third, and with the Valkyrie here, it's going to be very difficult for Hawk to take this fight. Trying to bounce on the Valkyrie right away, but it gets pulled back and taking massive splash damage from the +1 Marines, and it looks like this third base is going to go down without too much of a fight. Hawk having to back up with this last 4 Mutas.
I think this is game.
Yeah, it's going to be super hard for Hawk to recover at this point, just off of 2 base, and he's just going to tap out here. GG. Game 1 goes to Red Duck.
Really, really unfortunate about that Marine Medic timing. I think what Hawk should have done is maybe replenished his Zergling numbers a little bit. Like, if he had like 6 or 8 Zerglings to just tail that Marine Medic force,
yeah,
and threaten a backstab, I think maybe he could have stopped that from happening. But I think he just got a little too greedy.
Yeah. And that academy timing was so early that he was able to come in with the stem way before the mutas are ready. Usually with a normal academy timing, like a 4-minute roughly academy timing, when you show up to their base with your medics and your stem, there's going to be mutas just about to pop out, not like it was in that situation. So maybe Hawk could have realized when he was running by with the Lings how early the academy was, and maybe he could have, maybe that gave him some inkling as to what was going to happen next. I mean, he did have one sunken, which is still kind of a lot, seeing how many Marines he killed. But yeah, it just wasn't enough to hold off that first stim timing.
I mean, it's always hard as Zerg to even just survive at any stage of the game in ZVT, honestly.
Yes. We can't blame him too much. And map 2 is going to be Eclipse. Interesting pick from Hawk. Kind of thought to be a Terran favorite map in a lot of situations, but Hawk choosing it seems like he's ready to go with Eclipse. Gonna see what kind of strategy he's gonna bust out in this situation. So yeah, game 2 going on Eclipse.
I'm really curious to see if Hawk sticks with a 2-hatch Mutalisk play, or if he switches up, maybe goes for lurkers. But anyway, we have our blue Zerg Hawk at top right.
Yep, and bottom left we have the red Terran. It's red duck. Yeah, so these spawns doesn't matter too much, I guess, for this matchup. I mean, you could see a gas steal coming out of Terran. Obviously, you can gas steal Zerg, and it's pretty effective. But if he's going for 2-hatch, he's going to take that so early that it's just not going to happen, probably.
Yeah, and even if it's 3-hatch, I mean, then he can just take his gas at his natural.
Right.
I would be really surprised to see that. Is that something that you try often in your TVZs?
If they're going for 3-hatch and my SCV is there, for sure I'll just take the gas when I scout it. Usually it only works if you scout first, just because it throws off Zerg's timing a little bit, and you're not doing anything with the minerals in the meantime. So yeah, that's usually something I try and go for. And if for some reason you're able to steal it against a 2-hatch, like if they're going for a pull first and then you scout it before they take their gas or something like that, then that's just kind of totally crippling to their go, and they have to throw down a 3rd-hatch and play a totally different style from what they wanted. So yeah, definitely an effective strat from Terran.
Yeah, I've never actually gotten my gas stolen going 2-hatch. If I did, I would probably just I wouldn't know how to respond, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be such an early Terran scout that it doesn't even matter. But Hawk's still sticking to his 12-hatch. No early pools yet, and we'll see. It looks like no gas from Terran either. So kind of a repeat of game 1 as far as the openings go, which is to be expected. But I'm really curious to see if Duck is going to bust out a 1-1-1 or a mech opening at some point. If we go to Benzene at some point, I would be surprised if he stayed on bio. It seems like a lot of players favor 1-1-1 on that map. But it also has to do a lot to do with what you're comfortable with. And as a Terran player that doesn't play a whole lot of 1-1-1, if you're telling me I just got to bust out the 1-1-1 during some show match like this because I'm playing on a map that's good for it, I'm just saying hell no. I'm sticking with bio. Even if it's worse, I'm just going to go bio because it's what I know.
I mean, even something like 2-port Wraith on Benzene might be really strong because of the high ground. And
I'm pretty sure you can wall in both positions at the NAT with barracks and supply depots, so no risk of dying to Ling all-ins or things like that. Also, speaking of that, there's a pretty popular wall-in you can do with Terran on this map where you just go for 1 supply depot, 1 barracks at the natural, and it leaves a couple of openings, but you just leave some Marines in there, maybe an SCV if you scout that it's going to be Ling all-in, and then you're pretty much Ling proof. And from that position, a lot of players, if they're playing against 2-hatch, they go for eBay first and then Academy. And usually that's not something you do against 2-hatch because they can get their Ling speed so quickly and you can just die to Ling all in. But if you have this wall off, you can go for that quick +1 upgrade with the eBay, and it makes all of your mid-game timing super strong. What Duck wants to do here.
Yeah, I've heard about that. You can go up to like 4 racks, right? It's almost like a weak +1 5 racks almost.
It's basically it's a +1 5 racks, but it has stem and everything in time for the 2-hatch me to play, and then you just play defensively for it. So
that's
it doesn't look like it's really the best of both worlds for Terran. But it looks like we're not going for that. This game just looks like a standard 2 racks I'm interested to see when his academy goes down, if he's going to go for a super early one again, or if it's going to be more of a moderately timed. But it looks like it was like a 340 or even earlier. So once again, he's going for super early academy. Maybe you're going to try and go for another stim timing, ample style, just stim right across the map, stim twice, who cares?
I mean, it is really hard to deal with that as Zerg. I mean, it
Yeah.
really hurts having to make sunkens at all when you're going 2-hatch muta, just because your econ is so low compared to if you're going 3-hatch play.
Yeah, but it seems like Hawk wants to go 2.5 hatch, which against Marine Medic isn't super common these days. It's definitely something you saw a lot maybe around a year ago. It kind of came into fashion, but since then it's really just been all 2-hatch all the time, unless you're against a mech. But like you're saying, Hawk likes to play a slightly unorthodox style, and he chose this map, so clearly he has a plan going into the mid game here.
Yeah. I mean, so 2.5 hatch, usually you see it as a response to like early gas builds. So
Right.
if they're going mech or if they're going 1-1-1. So yeah, that is kind of interesting. So he's really delaying his second gas for that.
But it looks like he's going to go throw down a 4th hatch at the 3rd location. So I think he's going to do something where he just gets a handful of mutas at first, and he uses a bunch of minerals to take this 4th base. But he's not going to have like a huge swell of mutas at first, maybe just a couple. But Red Duck already moving out. We need to get some sunkens down, and we know how quick the stim timing is. We're gonna have to delay that 3rd hatchery, or sorry, that 3rd base hatchery for now. Smartly throwing down sunkens. Obviously, if we threw down that 3rd base and it was scouted by Red Duck, there'd just be no chance of it finishing. So it's good that we're getting the sunkens up now. It looks like they're gonna finish in time. But like I said, not a whole lot of mutalisks are gonna pop immediately. We had to save up for that hatchery that we didn't take. So you see him fighting some mutalisks now. But the Marine's already here. If he wants to, he can stim in here and try his luck. It worked last time, but I'm not sure about this time.
No,
once again, he has the 2 fire bats reinforcing, and one gets picked off. So a lot of the might of this army actually just got taken out there.
Well, losing the Lings actually really hurts, though.
Yeah, it was a trade. I'm not sure who came out on top there, but losing the fire bats really does hurt the potency of that attack. And now mutas are popping out any second now, likely killing the dreams of Red Duck to bust right here. But we still have this big, formidable army on the map. And range is going to be finishing pretty soon, because you saw how quickly his academy finished. If he went back-to-back with stim and range like most Terrans do, the range is going to be finishing up any second now. A little bit of rallying error there, almost losing a muta for his troubles. Gets out half health, but really, we're going to see the mid-game dance of Marine Medic versus Muta begin. And we have that fire bat patrolling around the map, trying to look for the 3rd base location, which is super smart.
Yeah. And Hawk still hasn't been able to actually get his the 3rd down yet. So
yeah, and the fire bat looks like it's about to find that drone at the 3rd location. So unless he starts that hatchery right now, it might just die. Wow, really smart tucking it behind the minerals, though. Oh.
Yeah, but I mean, every Terran knows that's what Zerg does, right?
I guess so. At least this one does. But Mutas are going to be able to save this drone most likely. Maybe it'll make an extractor. Oh,
wow.
Still gets taken out. No chance. The fireback dies a happy death, knowing that it stopped the 3rd base from Zerg for a little longer. So, I mean, this is actually a pretty big delay. It's almost 7:30 and still no 3rd started. So, and still no damage done with the Mutas either.
Yeah, and Hawk has actually been getting a little supply blocked here. And he's just been forced to keep building mutas and lings. Like you said, I think initially with this build, he wanted to actually stay on a smaller number of mutas, like you were saying, and really power on drones. But he's just been completely shut down from that.
Yeah, it seems like he's been having a tough time both of these games with this early stim timing. The early stim means early range, and if you have early range like this, you can just stay out on the map as long as you want. And once you're on the map with your Marine Medic, mutas really have a hard time harassing your SCV lines. So it's not just about the fact that we have map control, it's about the fact that we're able to make Marines, Medics, SCVs nonstop, no harassment, no breaks on the train. I wouldn't be surprised if starports are already coming up for the Terran player at this point. Factory has finished, so whenever he wants to, he can start those up, and things are looking super good for him. He's up to 4 racks now. His SCV count is great, and Hawk is forced to just super turtle mode. And look how many turrets there are already. 3 turrets ready. Hawk going for the kills, but he's going to be losing some mutas for his trouble, although it does force the army back. So swinging the tempo in his favor for sure, but we're taking big damage on the Mutalisks here, and we're going to run out for now.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit of a desperation move from Hawk. You can see he has 6 Sunkens now at his natural. He was really hoping, I think, that Red Duck would actually commit to attacking his natural, and he would be able to just dominate the barracks. But
yeah, and you saw that Red Duck scanned the natural, and as soon as he saw 5, 6 Sunkens, he knows what's about to happen. He knows that counterattack is happening with the muted, so he instantly has to pull back, and he knows he doesn't have to do any damage because he just spent all those drones, all that money on those Sunkens, so really no need for us to do damage when the Zerg is really doing the damage to themselves. But it looks like Hawk has found an angle here, right when Duck is moving his army out on the map, pouncing on these turrets, taking them down without too much trouble, and the army is forced to pull back to the main. Nice repairing, though.
Yeah, really smart play from both players, though.
Yeah, you can tell they've played this situation a million times before. They know how the back and forth works. Like I said, that tip about the Sunkens is super important. So many Terran players think they can just stay out on the map with their Marine Medic Ball forever, and that they can always threaten the backstab, but I mean, as soon as there's that number of Sunkens, you really have no chance. But he scans the third base. Sunken's desperately going up now, but he's spending all this money trying to defend this third base. He hasn't even had a chance to mine at it yet. So,
yeah. And just look at this Marine Medic force that's coming out of the map.
We're about to bisect the map with this line of Marine Medic. He has no care about keeping it
ridiculous.
Yeah, that's just a huge number of Marine Medic. His macro is absolutely out of control. Only recently being able to get SCV kills by the mutas. So, I mean, Red Duck's economy just went unchecked for so long. But finding good kills now, right when a Valkyrie pops out. And Hydra on the ramp, but it doesn't get turned into an egg, and now the Marine Medic can just bust up the cell here. It really is. But not microed perfectly, and we have Mutalisks ravaging the main base. All the SCVs are getting killed or having to transfer. And it looks like that Hawk is just going to take this base trade, losing his third base in return for killing most of the economy of the main base.
I think this is actually a misstep from Red Duck a little bit. I think losing your main like that is not worth shutting down the Zerg's third. I don't know. How do you feel about this situation? It's
a trade you have to take sometimes, but you don't want to be taking this much damage. I mean, we see the SCV line absolutely demolished for Red Duck, and he's getting a Valkyrie out now, so he's going to be able to deal with his Mutalisks and push them out, but he took so much damage. He lost so many SCVs, and now Hawk is transitioning into Hive Tech. He has so many Sunks at his natural, so he's free to play however he wants. There's no chance that we can bust this. Lurker's coming up too. So it looks like he might want to try and reclaim the third base, but it's going to be so hard for him to fight this army until Defilers come out. And as I say it, we get the Defiler Mound. So really interesting trade from both players. I'm curious to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we could see the SCV numbers. He did lose a pretty significant amount of SCVs for sure.
Yeah,
right?
he has good saturation as natural, but his main is like not even 1 per patch, and we're losing more SCVs as we're talking about it. So really,
it's got to be like 30 or less SCVs total.
Yeah, definitely around that number. So you see he's not mining gas. He has a big gas bank, but that's going to be kind of biting him as we transition to the mid game and he starts spending all this gas on vessels and upgrades and whatnot. But having to forego the gas for minerals is smart for now, because really we need to just be making bio non-stop, maybe taking a third base also. But you see he has to make these decisions about what to sacrifice, and we get the Valkyrie with our Scourge, so now the mutas are in play again. And Valkyries are so expensive, 250 minerals, and they take a decent amount of time to build, so really not something you want to invest into too much, especially now that Lurkers are in the game. We have to get our vessels out.
Yeah, if you don't have a significant number of vessels out by the time Zerg starts getting Defilers, you're going to be in a world of hurt as Terran.
Yeah. And the Defiler Man's finished, so I'm sure that we're getting consumed as we speak. And it means that just in a little bit of time, we're going to be able to get out on the map. Already we have Lurkers at the third base morphing, but we're not able to get a drone there, unfortunately. So we're going to have to push out with Darkstorm just to get a drone to our third base, which is just a complete disaster for Zerg. Never a spot you want to be in. But we do see Red Duck going for tanks, which is a little bit strange because he should know the hive timing. He should know Defilers and Consumer are about to be finished. So we're spending all this gas on tanks in siege mode, and they're really just not going to be that effective at mounting an offensive unless we're able to catch Hawk with just no units at all.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to be said for maybe setting up a little bit of a soft contain, and just, even though what you really want is vessels for sure, having tanks just keep pelting away at your units that are under swarm makes it even that much harder to move out.
It does, yeah, and also it's able to shell the. As I say that, a bunch of units get taken out for free trying to get that vessel, but yeah, the tank also does help immensely shelling the sunken colonies and forcing an engagement to happen. But I mean, as soon as those defilers come out and the dark swarm is ready, tanks just plummet in usefulness. And we see him taking the bottom right third, which is smart. He was able to sneak a drone out. And yeah, like he's saying, he's going to try and do this kind of soft contain with these 3 tanks, make it a little bit more difficult to move out, but kind of seems like Hawk is unaffected by this for now. He's going to be able to push out with Darkstorm soon, but here comes a big Irradiate. Right on the Defiler. Is he going to be able to put that Darkstorm down in time? Oh, just barely. So tanks are forced to unsiege and pull back for now. Going to lose a couple of them.
Yeah, this is a really nice
Vessel too.
for Hawk now.
Yeah, and we see on the bottom side of the map, kind of that bottom lane, we have both the bottom bases and we have lurkers that are ready to intercept any additional groups of Marines that might go and scout that. So we do have this big threatening Terran ball at the middle of the map, right outside our nat, I should say. But it's not threatening our 3rd or 4th base yet, so if those continue to go undiscovered for now, we're going to be in a great spot. And another thing to note is that we're still on 1 starport from Red Duck, so if he wants to do, like, right now, a drop at any of those bottom bases would just be completely catastrophic, but we're forced to go non-stop on these vessels. Nice lurkers intercepting some Marines.
I thought 100% those are hold position lurkers, but I think he might have made a misplay there.
Yeah, doing a great job unburrowing and burrowing again to force the Terran army to kind of stagger. And now we see the whole army from Red Deck kind of re-maneuvering down to the bottom to try and apply some pressure there. And we might just see on the other side Hawk take that 12 o'clock base when he has the opportunity to, but it's going to be super hard for him to defend here.
Nidus Canal coming up right in time though.
Yeah, so that was the perfect timing. Oh, tank goes down, and good Irradiate on the Defiler, but it's able to get the Darkstorm out. So we're going to be able to shuffle these lurkers under there, force the unsiege again. And it looks like we're just going to go for a run by here, just running those Marines straight up the ramp, and that's going to be a little bit of a disaster as Lings come out of the Nidus Canal, forced to back up, but we do get some nice Ling trades for free. And
yeah, really, really well played by Hawk there, getting the Lings through the Nidus to block like right in time.
Yeah. We're going to retake this orange cloud with, I think we have like 5 lurkers under there now, and it looks like he's going to try and push forward, go for a sandwich maneuver, and right when he retreats, there's going to be 3 lurkers just taking this whole army. So many Marines going down. We're totally pinned in this situation. Brilliant maneuvering by Hawk.
Yeah, that's really, really sick. There are a few things more satisfying than being able to sandwich
a full surround. And we have the dropship coming in, maybe actually just to rescue these units, really. He's going to actually drop in this bottom right base, but we have the Nidus Canal right there, so I can't imagine that this goes off too successfully. But as I say that, almost focuses down the Nidus Canal. Shoot. Holy moly. 12 HP.
That's crazy.
You'll love to see that as the Zerg player. Where's our transfuse? And we see the 3rd base for Terran floating over, getting ready to set up. So it's not like he's all in on this attack, but losing that huge control group of Marine Medic is not an ideal situation at all. I mean, just look at the supplies. 20 supply out for Zerg is really not a common thing to see in these situations, I would say.
Yeah, and now Hawk has four gases, which is like the magic number you want to go into
the magic
Ultras.
number, absolutely. The Ultralisk Cavern is down, and he's already even setting up drop defense in his main base, so you can tell that he's really preparing for a long game here. But it looks like our 4th base is a little bit undefended here. We're shuffling up some lurkers at the very last second, barely just saving it looks like. And yeah, our vessel count for as Terran is just abysmal. I mean, it's 1730 and we have 2. We really should be at maybe like 6 or even getting on to 8 soon. But our upgrades are pretty solid. 2-1 upgrades is about what you want to see right now. Finishing up 3-2 soon, hopefully. The upgrades are just going to be so monumental as the Ultralisk section of the game begins.
It seems like Red Duck is just a little lost in the late game here. I mean, like you said, his vessel count is super, super low. He's trying to go for vultures now to lay some mines around the map, but
yeah, and I like that. And he's going for, it looks like +1 vehicle weapons, so we might be trying to see a mech switch. We have 3 factories already, so yeah, it looks like he's going for a little bit of a mini mech switch type situation. But kind of the common knowledge around surrounding mech switch is that you really want to have map control when you start going for it, and while we're not completely pinned in our main base, I wouldn't say that we have the dominant kind of map positioning that we want. But this drop at the bottom base, it might do some damage, but lurkers are already readjusting. So it looks like for now this is going to get driven off. And yeah, the Terran only being on 3 base, 3 gas, trying to go for a mech switch is going to be pretty hard. This map is good since it's 2 players. It's pretty easy to split up, but just from this position, we're really stuck in our main base right now, trying to go for mech switch.
Yeah, if you go for a mech switch, don't you usually want like 3, probably 4 bases? More realistic.
Yeah,
right?
you see it a lot on like circuit breakers where you can go up to 5 bases super quickly. You take your mineral only 3rd, and then you take like the bottom or top base, and you take another main base. And then from there, you just split the map, keep taking bases, and it's pretty much just game over if you have that map control. But in this case, it's going to be so hard for us to get a 4th gas, and it's going to be even harder for us to continue denying that 4th gas from Zerg. There's just not really any chance that we break the 4th gas, and so we're going to be playing kind of from this disadvantaged position, switching into a completely different unit composition. And you've seen that Red Duck hasn't floated his barracks, so I think he's going to continue making some Marine Medic for now, but we're kind of just split all over the place right now. We're going for Marine Medic and we're going for mech, and we're only on 3 base against 4 base, but I mean, anything can happen. We know how efficiently mech can trade. Both of us know keenly well how efficiently mech can trade, no pun intended. So it's definitely anyone's game at this point still, and continuing to deny this 12 o'clock base is really something else. I mean, this is the natural 3rd base for Zerg to take, and he still hasn't been able to take it 20 minutes in.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a big nuisance having vultures running around on the map, sniping drones, and then just laying mines all over the place. So as Zerg, you basically have to sacrifice units to clear those.
Yeah, no real ranged option to diffuse the mines. You just have to sack lings constantly, but Ultras are ready with 4-1 upgrades and speed. He has to be careful not to run them into any minefields, though. Obviously, mines just do massive damage to Ultralisks.
Yeah, ideally, like we were just saying, you want to be like running 1 or 2 lings through the minefields at a time to try and
clear it up. Looks like we're getting a little bit of a lag spike. I'm gonna try and raise the ping just a bit. But yeah, we're saturating our 3rd base as Red Ducks, so we're about to have pretty solid economy. Maybe when we get back into the game, we can check his main saturation, see how much minerals he has left, because really at this point, big mine hits on this Ultralisk. We really just threw those away for nothing. Got to be a little more careful than that.
Yeah, it looks like he wanted to try and get a collateral damage kill on all those vultures, but it really wasn't worth it.
No, but now that we have this position set up here, if we can just continue to reinforce on this path without mines and bring more Defilers, Lings, and Ultralisks across, I'm not sure if Duck is going to be able to hold on.
Oh wow, that's a huge stream of units coming down now.
Yeah. And the Defiler is in place. It looks like it's ready to cast another Swarm, but Irradiates are coming out, and alright, let's see how this engagement goes. GG is called. Not even going to wait for the engage, just going to move on from there. So really back and forth game. I thought for a long time that Red Duck was in a commanding lead, but Hawk able to pull it out.
Yeah.
Able to nail the mech switch timing.
Yeah, Red Duck, it looks like he has super solid early game timings, but he just got kind of picked apart in the late game there, which...
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's something a lot of Terrans struggle with if they're not as experienced dealing with Dark Swarm and everything.
Yeah, definitely. So, series tied up 1-1. Just want to remind you guys that we have a matcherino going for this show match. We have a $50 starting pool, and if you want, you can use the coupon code posted in chat to contribute 50 cents, totally free. None of your money has to be involved, but if you do want to continue supporting great North American Brood War content, we would love any sort of contribution. Everything that's going into this pot is going straight to the players, so it's all in the prize pool. So yeah, really great cause. If you guys want to see more foreign Brood War, then consider supporting. Going into game 3, it looks like it's going to be on Optimizer. Not very surprising that this is going to be the counter pick from Terran. This is just such a good map for mech.
It's honestly disgusting. I don't know how it's even supposed to eke out a win on this map when Terran can go mech and get full, like, four factory Goliath with tanks and vessels off of those 3 gases. It's just... Yeah.
Usually Terran is kind of forced with mech to pick if they want to go for upgrades and Goliaths and vessels. You have to kind of pick 2 of the 3 because your gas is just going to be so limited. before you get your third gas. You really can't go for all of them. Tanks also. So the fact that you're able to go for 3 gas on just 2 base, and then your fourth gas on your third base isn't even ridiculously hard to take. It's just such an incredibly good mech map. Also, if the players spawn vertically from each other, there's this little back pass that you can take, which is super annoying for Zerg to deal with. Just constant vulture harassment at those bases. Also, dropship play with vultures is super popular. So yeah, really Terran just has all the options in the world, really can do whatever they want. They can even go for bio if they want. It's not like it's an awful map for it. So Zerg is just really forced to stay on their toes.
Yeah, like you said, the vertical positions are just twist the knife even more, because like the one thing that is a little nice as Zerg is being able to take pretty much a free third and have it be safe, but that's not an option if you're vertical positions. So
yeah, if they're horizontal or cross map, then that's more or less an island map for a long time, an island expansion. So it's really tough for Terran to get in there. But yeah, players just getting in the lobby. We're getting ready for game 3. So far, been a great series, really back and forth. Both games, it looked like both players were in it for a long time, and there was a lot of shifts in tempo back and forth. So these players really keeping it exciting for us.
Yeah, I was a little like on the edge of my seat and feeling really bad for Hawk at the beginning of last game, because it looked like it was just going to be another repeat, and maybe he was going to get kind of steamrolled by Red Duck's like solid early game timings. But even though it's 1-1 and it's tied right now, I think Hawk is probably really, really confident going into the rest of the series, now that he can see that if he can just bring it to late game, he at least has a fighting chance.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely kind of that trade-off between those styles of players, the ones that are comfortable in the early game and those that are comfortable in the late game. And it's an interesting dynamic, because obviously every game you play, you have to go through the early game. There's no two ways around it. That's always going to be a factor. So if you're a player that's strong in the early game, you're always going to have a time in the game where you're comfortable. But if you're a little bit more comfortable in the late game, you can do everything you can to kind of just drag it out and force your opponent to play in a place that you're more comfortable with. So you can see both players definitely showing that style. Red Duck with those super early stem timings, and Hawk with that super solid hive tech play.
Yeah, and one thing to say about Optimizer is that if you can just stay alive, that third gas won't last forever. It's only 1,000 or what is it?
1,000.
Yeah. So if you can just manage to hold on and weather the storm, it'll even out eventually.
Yeah, that's the hope at least. But yeah, those like 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock bases really seems like a nightmare to hold in Zerg. I have no idea how you're supposed to take that. So it looks like you're forced to take those semi-island bases and maybe another main base if the game keeps going a little bit later.
Yeah, for sure. They really do look like a nightmare to defend. I mean, if Terran gets a drop there or any army there whatsoever, it's like you're just not going to be able to clear that without taking like significant losses.
Yep. But looks like we're about to get ready, get into game number 3, Hawk versus Red Duck on Optimizer. If Blizzard lets us.
Just an unfortunate little bit of lag there at the beginning.
Yeah, but at the top left, we have the blue Terran player. It is Red Duck, believe it or not. And at the bottom, go for it.
Bottom right, we have our Red Zerg Hawk.
Yeah. So Red Duck spawning as the blue player. Things are getting a little bit confusing right off the bat. We'll see if the casters can keep up.
Yeah. But like we were discussing earlier, the vertical positions can make things a little awkward, but thankfully for Hawk, he will be able to take that little island expansion basically for free. So,
cross map.
One little thing to make him a little more comfortable on this extremely Terran favored map.
Yeah, you can just look up the statistics if you want to. You have to use Google Translate to get it from Korean, but it's there if you want it. Not a pretty sight to behold, though. It really looks like all the maps this season are kind of Terran favored, although we do have that one wild card, the map that shall not be named, that 3-player disaster. I think Protoss players are happy about that one, but I'm not going to claim to know enough about that map to make any decisions about it. But
yeah. I mean, we can see the ramifications of the map pool and just from looking at the KCM results, where I think it was one of the first times ever that a Protoss actually knocked Zerg out in the semifinals.
Yeah.
And Shuttle of all Protosses is
Wow.
the one who all killed the Zerg team. So that
Yeah.
really says something about the balance of the maps.
Yeah, it really seems like KCM has just been a complete disaster for Protoss players a lot of the time. But looks like we're going for 8 racks into gas as Red Duck, so he wants to keep things a little bit aggressive and then maybe go play 1-1-1 off that. Yeah, that's kind of the most common follow-up to 8 racks gas, but I think you can play mech as well. And obviously, since this is Optimizer, mech is super big. We could see straight Goliath opener, or we could see 1-1-1 into mech. Both are options for sure.
Is this actually a 10 factory? This is a super early gas, right?
Yeah, he got his gas right away, and it looks like he's going to cut for a proxy factory. So 8 racks into a proxy factory, kind of an insane strategy actually, pulling everything off gas, and we're going straight back to mining only minerals. So we'll see how heavily we commit to this 8 racks. We just made 1 marine and we're backing up the barracks for now. So yeah, it looks like we're just going for that maximum quick factory.
It's been so long since I've seen this. This is a crazy pocket build to break out.
Yeah, this is something I actually pulled out against Faust once when we were playing. We were at DreamHack Montreal. We were just playing in our Airbnb kitchen, and I desperately wanted to beat him so badly that I just went for that 10-10-10 proxy factory. And I had that dream come true. I got the Vulture in the main base. I was killing drones nonstop. And then he just went into Hydras and he killed me. I really have no idea how that happened. But
well, it sounds like you got what you deserved, honestly.
Well, okay. Some players would say that. Other players would say I threw hard. But we see a big drone pull from Hawk until he realizes it's only 1 Marine, 1 SCP, and then he pulls some of the drones back to his main base. So luckily he's not overcommitting to this, but we need to start that sunken colony right now. If we wait any longer, that Vulture in all likelihood is just going to get straight to our main base. But it looks like we just barely missed the factory.
Oh, that's so tragic.
Such a tragedy. And we're still, the Vulture's out. We haven't even started a sunken colony yet. It looks like this game might just end before it even begins. Just starting our creep colony right now, and Overlord sees the Vulture. We don't even have a drone pull, so it looks like this game is just about to end, actually.
Oh, actually dropping a sunken in his
main. In the main.
I think that's actually a good decision because it's insanely hard to try to clear this with just drones.
Well, yeah, I mean, and by all accounts, it's really just game ending if you let the Vulture get in here, but he's going to do his best. He's saved a lot of drones so far, only lost 2, which, I mean, is really good, all things considered. There's a second Vulture in the main, we get a 3rd drone, 4th drone goes down, and the sunken finally finishes.
Well,
so
the worst part is he can just deny mining from this top.
Yeah, he's just going to sit right at the top here, shoot shots at the natural, and we have to get the Hydra Dentist to do anything. Oh, but we lose our Vulture, actually, and the other one is barely alive. Lings might even take it out. And behind this, Terran's going for a starport. Loses the other Vulture in the main. A complete miss micro from Red Duck, but still, the damage that he did was so immense. I mean, we only have like 8 drones mining right now.
Yeah, only 8 drones on minerals.
And we're forced to get Hydras. Oh, 2-port Wraith follow-up. So Red Duck is committed to dictating the pace of the game. So far, he's been effective with it. We'll see how his Wraith micro is.
Yeah, I mean, he could have gotten even more value out of those Vultures. I thought the game was actually completely over, but he mismicroed them. But he's still so far ahead. Like, Hawk is in a really tough place right now. I think his only option is really to go for a Zergling Hydra all in.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of player Hawk is, how he likes to respond when he's down in a situation like this. Some players just go for the all-in response. Some players kind of try and drag it out into the late game. But yeah, I mean, he's going to be really hard-pressed to do anything at this drone count. But if he's able to hold this 2-port Wraith without taking too much damage, he could transition into the mid-game pretty strongly. 2-port, obviously not the most economy-focused build in the world, so it really depends on his Wraith micro and getting a lot done with these Wraiths. So there is an opportunity for Hawk to micro his way back into this game. We'll see if he's able to take advantage of it, though.
And he is teching the lair, so it looks like he's going the safer route and just trying to hold on and scrape his way back into the game piece by piece.
Yeah. The opportunity is certainly there. We haven't even found any Overlords so far, so this first Wraith really kind of just floundering, trying to find something, but Hawk did a good job hiding his Overlord at the very tippy top right of the map. I'll be surprised if the Wraith even manages to find this. He's really on the hunt, but turns around last second. The Overlord will live to see another day.
Yeah, I was actually surprised at how late the race seemed. I was expecting it to come out earlier and get at least like 1 or 2 Overlord kills. So yeah, really excellent play by Hawk.
Yeah, recognizing that there's definitely the potential for Wraith follow-up, but I mean, I bet Hawk is kind of confused right now. He still doesn't really know what is going on. The Wraiths still haven't hit yet, so anything can happen.
And I'm actually a little confused as to what Red Duck is doing here.
Taking a second gas and throwing an add-on on his factory, so it looks like he has plans to stay on one base for quite a bit longer.
With the 2-port Wraith, I totally would have expected him to get an add-on for Cloak, but it looks like he's not going that route.
Not today, but nice Hydra spread. I'm going to completely deny these Wraiths for now. Almost catch a drone. They commit for it, but lose a Wraith in the process, so really not the greatest start for Red Duck.
No, and Hawk's economy is pretty well set up now. I mean, just 1 or 2 drone kills. Let's see if he can get a second one here.
I think that was actually his first. Well, no, he committed fully, but 2 drones for 2 Wraiths and half of the other HP of their other Wraith is really not the trades you're looking for. And we've completely halted production on 2-port. Now we're going for factory. We're going for a tank with siege mode. It looks like.
This is crazy. What am I watching here?
This looks like some. I was going to throw out a year, but I don't even know what year kind of these builds come from.
2003? I don't know.
Yeah, this is some vanilla StarCraft strategies for sure. Really unorthodox play from Red Duck, and we were expecting to see the unorthodox play from Hawk, so kind of surprising on that note.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this, TVZ. And we see Hawk is actually transitioning into Spire Tech now, so I really hope he actually just... I mean, it looks like Red Duck is going to start going into science facility production and vessel production off of those 2 ports, but I'd like to at least see a few mutas from Hawk just so he can kind of scout this and get a handle on the situation.
The eBay still isn't even done yet for Red Duck. If he sends these mutas right across the map and there's only like 1 turret at these key locations, he doesn't have like a big marine count or anything. He's making medics right now. I don't even think he has a marine ball at all. So these mutalisks have the potential to just end the game potentially. There's no cloak on the Wraith, so it's not like those are going to be able to drive the mutalisks out. And we're going for siege tanks, and we're sieging them up right next to our missile turrets. So we're playing super defensively, super high tech. We're going for vessels and for tanks off 1 base and medics.
Yeah, but it's still only on one barracks. This is just insane.
Yeah, not a super orthodox strategy.
He hasn't gotten the second starport
add-on.
Yeah, add-on. I'm just at a loss for words here. I really don't know what Red Duck is going for.
Yeah, we're really pulling ourselves in every single direction and going for +1 weapons, it looks like, for our infantry. So it is going to be a bio play at some point, even though it might not look like it yet, seeing as we've pretty much only built mechanical and flying units. But our first vessel's already out, which is super early. Going to be banking energy, but I mean, it looks like Red Duck's trying to go for one big engage here. He's going to have a ton of tanks. I mean, he's been making tanks non-stop, and if he's able to nail some irradiates on the mutalisks, he's just going to absolutely crush. But on the same note, in the same vein, if Hawk is able to split his mutas correctly to deal with those early irradiates, it's just going to completely flounder the strategy of Red Duck. I mean, he's spent so many resources getting these early vessels, getting the early irradiate, so I think it's going to come down to one big engage, and that one big engage is going to come down to those big irradiates. We'll see how both players handle it.
The thing is, against a Marine medic army that's this small...
Oh, there's the first. Nice split.
That was perfect. That was almost perfect.
Yeah, pretty textbook.
But yeah, like, he doesn't even actually need to stack his mutas against a composition like this.
Yeah, there's not any Marine medic firing down on it, and it looks like we're getting one. Are we going to get both the vessels? Doing huge damage and complete disaster, losing both of our vessels. We're going to lose our missile turrets as well, and it looks like Hawk might even just end the game right now.
Yeah, I think this is game. I don't think Red Duck can survive.
The repair on the turret is pretty good, but another reinforcing muta is going to be able to...
Wow.
Repair soggy.
Repair is so broken. It's actually insane.
But, I mean, the damage was done. We went, like I said, we rushed our tech so quickly. We've already taken our supplemental gas in our main base. It can't be mining for, like, a whole lot longer. I mean, we're probably around halfway mined out on it already, and that's supposed to be supplementing our mid-game economy. So we really are not going to be set up for the best position going into mid-game. Mutas continue to doing big continuing to do big harassment damage. I mean, picking off Marines like this is so big. We don't even have any Marines. I mean,
Yeah,
we lost our whole army there.
He has no production. He lost both of his vessels, and now Hawk has found this hole in his turret defense. I mean,
yeah.
Red Duck is basically just dead in the water right now, I think.
Yeah. 4 tanks, pretty good, but don't shoot air. So as long as Hawk isn't just going all in on Hydras or something, then these tanks are just going to get no effectiveness at all. And at this point, the game is looking just about over, losing just a ton of SCVs on our main base. Hawk going to show mercy and pull out of the SCV line for now, but I mean, the damage is just done already. Now we're just going to focus on this rack. Sling's coming in.
Yeah,
I don't think we have anything to do with the
This is basically
Lings.
game. There's no way that Red Duck can hold on.
Yeah. Tanks are good against Lings in theory, but they usually need a little bit of defense support to go with it. And now that the Mutalisks are on top of the tanks, there's just about nothing left for Red Duck. Looks like he's going to try and go for one big Irradiate. Nice Irradiate, doing a ton of damage. No split in sight. But,
I think Hawk is kind of like resting on his laurels a little bit here, not taking the game too seriously any longer.
Yeah, and I don't blame him.
Because he didn't even attempt to split that irradiated Mutalisk. But
he had better things to do. He was setting up dinner reservations for later that night. No time for splitting Mutalisk. And here comes the next big wave of anything. I think this is going to be what does it. Just a couple tanks, a couple medics. No match for this number of Lang Muta. And it looks like Hawk is going to be the winner of Game 3 on Optimizer. Really one of the biggest Terran-sided maps in our map pool, and Hawk is able to pull it out of the bag, so big win for Hawk there. Kind of really changes and dictates the pace of the rest of this series, being able to take a key victory on a map like that.
Yeah, really impressive. I mean, that was a really interesting cheese that Red Duck picked out. I mean, 10 factory isn't something that you see every day, but yeah. I'm wondering why he chose to do that on Optimizer of all maps.
Yeah, it's interesting. It seemed like he had that kind of follow-up plan with the 2-port Wraith and then into the science facility and siege tank thing, but I wonder what the deal with the siege tanks were. I mean, he saw that there was about 6 or 7 Hydralisks, so it's possible that he thought he was getting Hydra busted and just thought if all he needed to do was defend, but yeah, it's really hard to say.
Yeah, I think that probably was what he was thinking, because like I was saying, I thought that Hawk was in such a bad position after losing so many drones that,
right.
I mean, that would be one of the avenues back into the game, is just going for a straight up all in, which thankfully Hawk had the foresight to avoid.
Yeah. So definitely played well by Hawk.
It's still just so strange to me that Red Duck decided not to commit to the 2-port Wraith after making those.
Yeah, spending all the money on the double port. I mean, you saw once we transitioned into vessels, we were only making vessels off 1 port, so that second port was completely useless. After, I mean, I think that port made 1 Wraith and then did nothing. It was just AFK for the rest of the game. So there was clearly a switch of plans or something triggered Red Duck to kind of change tracks and go into that tank production. It might have been those Hydralisks. I'm curious to know as to why.
Well, the strange thing is, though, like even if they do go Hydralisk, like until they get a really critical mass of Hydras, you can still do a lot of damage with the Wraiths. If you get 6+ Wraiths and they have cloak and everything, you can pick off Overlords really easily. It's insanely hard to defend with just Hydras.
Definitely. And yeah, going for a Hydra bus is also pretty risky against 2-port, because like you said, if we just pick off Overlords nonstop, there's going to be at some point where the Cloak Wraiths are just going to be able to shoot the Hydras with impunity. So it is a little bit of a risky play to go all in like that. And it was really smart for Hawk to just recognize the situation he was in, realize the position he was in, and just tech up to Largo Mutas, and was just able to win the game with solid Muta micro. So 2-1 in Hawk's favor right now. Our 4th map is going to be Polypoid. What are your thoughts on this map for this matchup?
I really like Polypoid. It's a bit rough. I don't know. I feel like the rush distances are a little kind of close, but I don't know. It's pretty solid to me. It's almost overtaken Fighting Spirit as like the bog standard 4-player map.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. The mineral-only 3rd bases seem to be pretty solid for Terran. Zerg obviously really wants gas for their 3rd, so like Oh, and we got a player drop, so we're going to remake real quick, but still going to be on Polypoid. Still going to be Red Duck against Hawk. But yeah, so the third mineral only seems like a pretty good advantage for Terran. They're able to take that pretty quickly, but it is also quite an exposed base, and I have a lot of trouble as the mid and late game goes on holding that base. It seems like random links just kind of show up there nonstop, and I'm not able to dictate that. So
yeah,
a little exposed.
I mean, yeah, but it is kind of free to take, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at first, like you said, you can just take it so quickly.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the turret placement in the natural and everything? Do you feel like
there's some positions where it's really hard. Like I think like top left in particular, I always struggle putting turrets there because you have your comsat really just blocking you, so you have to make sure you don't accidentally trap your SCVs with your turrets. But the main base is pretty open, but not ridiculously so. Not like a 12 o'clock on Neo Sylphid type open, so not too bad for that. And most of the third bases that aren't another main have a couple ramps going to them, so there are multiple ways to hit it. It's not just like 2 lurkers can stop everything. But yeah, it looks like Red Duck got dropped from that last game, so we're gonna have to wait a minute for the countdown timer to happen because Blizzard's good at programming their games, turns out. But got him here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that there's still so many issues with BattleNet after all these years, but it is what it is.
Yeah. And at least it hasn't been as bad as it was in BSL. I mean, that's just been a complete tragedy, the fact that they've had so many games desync like that. But the fact that they have the first-person view and they're able to kind of save the cast is super awesome. Shouts out to Tomko for setting that up.
Yeah, it's really crazy. I didn't even know that live games could desync like that before that started happening in BSL.
Yeah, I was always familiar with the replays desyncing. We've seen that before for sure, but live games desyncing, that seems like a whole nother ball game. But we got our players back in the lobby. Polypoid is going to be our 4th map, and Hawk leads 2-1. All right, spawning at the top right, the red Terran. It is going to be Red Duck.
And spawning at top left, we have our blue Zerg Hawk. So I'm really hoping that Red Duck can kind of pull himself together and bring this to 2-2, so we can at least have a series finally go to the full 5 games, because every series thus far that we've done for Foul Play has been either a 3-0 or a 3-1.
Yeah, so hopefully we're going to get our money's worth today. We know these players are some rogues. They're all in it for the money, so they're just here to get their money and get out quickly as possible. So we're trying to keep them. We're trying to wrangle them in here for a 5th game, but I think Hawk has other ideas. He wants to close it out as quickly as possible. It's going to be curious to see how Red Duck kind of holds up. Those last 2 games were both rough. There were definitely positions or moments in the game where he had a decisive advantage, but either due to his misplays or Hawk's excellent play, the roles were reversed and Hawk was able to take them. So definitely both of those games are losses that you don't really want to take, but on the same token, whatever the hell that saying is, whatever the saying is, Red Duck was in winning positions in both those games, so all he really needs to do is work on closing them out. He's always been able to get in solid spots in that early game, so we're going to see how that dynamic plays out.
Yeah, and we do know that Red Duck is a relatively recent addition to the scene, right? I mean, NASL was the first tournament that he participated in the foreign scene.
Yeah.
Other than that, we just know that he's Boa's brother, and they practice together. But like he's probably experiencing some tournament nerves for sure, some show match nerves.
Yeah, definitely. There's such a world of difference between playing people on ladder, playing people in custom games, and then playing people for a prize or in some sort of tour in front of players. I mean, it just adds a whole different dynamic to things, and you really see a player like Hawk, who's been in the scene for a long time, has played in a lot of these foreign tournaments. You see how he's able to kind of bounce back from these bad situations and turn them into an advantage. So I think you could definitely attribute a lot of that to his mentality and his experience in tournaments.
Yeah, Hawk has a ton of tournament experience. I mean,
he was a StarCraft 2 pro, or he played StarCraft 2 as well, right?
Yeah, professionally, I believe, or semi-professionally.
Well, yeah.
And I just know, I remember getting back into StarCraft with StarCraft Remastered, and like ever since then, he was a mainstay of tournaments.
Yeah. Ever since I started playing, I've always heard about Hawk, so Definitely one of those players that I've kept an eye out for. But things are looking standard as ever. Hawk still sticking to his trusty 2-hatch. Doesn't look like we're going to go for 2.5 hatch. Although I might be forced to eat my words in a moment. But for now, just standard 2-hatch. And on the other side, it's still going to be another 15 command center for Red Duck, and he's putting down that second barrack super early, so it looks like he might go for another stim rush like we've seen in the previous games. That really seems like to be the build that he likes the most. Taking that gas so early, I mean, 312, are you kidding me? My earliest gas usually goes down at 330, so this guy is really cutting SCVs, cutting Marines. He's going for that early stim and that early range upgrade with everything he's got.
Yeah, and it is a close position this time, so I mean, it seems like it's an effective play to rest on. It's been effective so far.
Yeah, for sure. It forces out those early sunks with a really quick gas first 2-hatch muta. Your mutas pop out so quickly that sometimes you don't even need to make sunken colonies against that first 2 medic push from Terran. But with the stim this early, there's just no way around it. You need a bunch of lings or you need a sunken, and both of those are not drones, which is what you really would like to be making a Zerg.
Yeah, it really, really sucks to have to commit to either of those when you're going 2-hatch. But Sunkens especially, I feel like, because at least with Lings, you can keep establishing map control with them later. But
yeah,
if you miss micro with Lings just for a second, you'll just die. So it's much safer to go with the Sunkens.
Yeah, Lings are also good for threatening that backstab. If you can force that first push to delay, even not even necessarily pull back, but if you make them even think for a second about it, you're saving yourself so much time and money in the long run. The Academy finishing super early, Stim starting as soon as he has the money for it, so but that's a lot of lanes.
This is really interesting from Mott, though. It looks like he actually is expecting an early move out, and he wants to just crush it with Lings. Or
he's just going for it, and there's already an SCV pulled, actually blocking so much. And look at that SCV drill, the Marines get behind the SCV.
That was a perfect
actually just an amazing micro, but there's so many Lings here. It actually might even just go all down to the wire. Only one Marine surviving, but that's actually just an amazing hold. That SCV drill was just incredible, and now Hawk has to do damage with these mutilisks because he spent so much on those Marines, or so much on those Lings, but he was able to kill every single Marine, so we're going to have to spend so much money on missile turrets just to hold off these mutilisks, so a really big trade from both players. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. That engineering base actually is incredibly late. He might just die to these mutas as soon as they pop. Well, okay, Spider's just finishing now. He's going to have to put up those turrets just ASAP, and he's going to have to put up a lot at that.
Yeah, I was forced to eat my words there. I thought Hawk was actually going to wait for Red Duck to move out, but yeah, this is actually crazy. I don't know. I'm still not feeling great about Hawk's position, but we'll see if Red Duck can get the turrets up in time.
He spent a lot of larva on Lings, and you can see for his troubles, he's not taking that third base yet. Usually by now he would have thrown down a third base, set a third location, but he's instead forced to throw down the hatchery in his main base. Losing another Marine just completely unnecessarily. Not a good sign, but mutas are on the map already. First 4 have popped, 5th is out already, and the turrets are only halfway done. Only 1 turret at the natural too.
I think Red Duck will actually be okay, though. I mean, he has a decent amount of Marines up now. He has turrets.
Yeah,
Hawk isn't going to have a critical mass of mutas for a while.
Yeah, it's true. Only 5 for now. Nice, though. Forcing that to cancel. Oh, a little risky there, but gets an SCV. Might even get a medic.
Oh, so close.
Didn't commit for the second dive, which I think was smart.
Yeah, every mutalisk is precious right now, so it's definitely not worth losing on muta.
And even doing that much damage to the medic forces the other medics to heal it, and medic energy is not free. Well, it is free, but it's not infinite. It's definitely free.
Yeah, and the third hatch in the main actually kind of signifies to me that Hawk is going to commit to aggression here a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw +1 on the mutalisks and just going continuously all in with them, forcing Duck to stay in his base, and letting Hawk get a chance to throw down the third base at some point. But yeah, I could see heavy aggression. But, I mean, look at this missile turret count already. 4 next to his barracks.
But only 1 in the main. I don't know. I think it's actually smart from Hawk to go for this strategy because on the Eclipse game, we saw Red Duck was initially pretty disciplined with moving his Marines and medics back to defend the meat all in, right?
Right.
But eventually he just got impatient and he just committed to killing Hawk's third.
Yeah.
And that's basically when Hawk made the game-winning play by just doing so much damage to Red Duck's main.
Yeah, and Red Duck's factory came down at around 7:15, so a little bit later from what your ideal is. Usually you shoot for 6:30 to 7 minutes, but it was a little bit later than that. And we saw the last couple games, he only went for, not the last game, but 2 games before, we saw only 1 starport. He went for 1 port, 1 factory. So combined with the fact that his factory is a little bit delayed, if he waits at all and just goes for 1 starport, his vessel count's really going to be unimpressive. And we're actually able to just catch out this whole Marine medic ball. Only about 7 Marines was not able to deal with that Mutalisk count. So everything goes down, 3 medics go down.
Yeah, that was so strange. I'm honestly not sure why Red Duck moved out there with such a small Marine medic force.
And we already see Hawk transitioning into lurkers, so he's going to be able to secure this 3rd base, no problem. Tech is late from Red Duck. His army size is small, it just got reset. You see Hawk scouring the map for those fire bats that split off, but he did find them, so those are going to get eliminated. And it looks like he's safe to take his 3rd base and pick up the hive whenever he wants to. I mean, really, there's just no threat at all that Red Duck can pose, especially now that lurkers are out. I mean, Red Duck might even be forced, like I said, to go for 1 factory, 1 port, and make tanks. And if he does that, his vessel count is just going to be so abysmal.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hawk is just in complete command of this game now. It's actually like it's really impressive to me. He's almost just running circles around Red Duck in terms of just his strategy and his approach to the game.
Yeah, and we're walking these lurkers across, or hydras across the map to morph into lurkers. It looks like we might even just try and go end the game right now. We haven't even taken a 3rd base. Hawk smells blood in the air, because he's an air creature, and he's deciding to just go all in on this. We only have 1 bunker, no tanks. I mean, that's a lot of Marines, but I mean, if we have burrowed lurkers, there's just nothing you can do. And you see Red Duck again going for Valkyries. He's throwing down that armory, and he's completely misread the situation. Hawk is not going all in on mutas. He is going all in on lurkers, and it looks like he's just about ready to strike. He might wait for those last 2 eggs to pop, but he has no time for that. Leading with a couple of lanes to soak up the shots, and these lurkers are going to get right on top of these bunkers and Marine medic. And this is going to be an absolute slaughter. The fist spines eliminate half of the Marine medic.
This is basically a game. I don't think there's anything Red Duck can do.
Oh my god. A complete slaughter. Every single Marine going down in a matter of seconds, and that's GG. Hawk in a dominating fashion taking down Red Duck 3-1. Impressive.
Yeah, that was really satisfying for me to watch. I mean, I called the situation completely incorrectly, but both Red Duck and I kind of had the same interpretation of how the game would go, I think.
Right, yeah.
And Hawk was just thinking at the next level, like countering what the obvious solution would be.
Definitely,
really impressive to watch.
Yeah, and I think it was the right call from you too. I mean, a lot of players in that situation see the weakness. They eliminate that first kind of control group of Marines, and they think they can just go all in on mutas. And because Hawk knows that, and he knows that Red Duck knows that, he's like, well, I might just go all in on lurkers, and completely blindsided his opponent. The tanks weren't even close to ready. All the Marine medic were stuck inside that Sim City at the Natural, and it was just a complete destruction. So congratulations to Hawk, winner of today's Foul Play NA.
Yeah, for sure. And like we were saying, I mean, a huge aspect of that is tournament nerves. And I think being able to collect yourself after that Ling all-in, like Hawk did, he's just on another level in terms of tournament experience.
Yeah, definitely. Especially after that first game, just kind of ending so one-sidedly like that. The fact that he was able to pull it back, and from 2 more situations where we both thought he was completely disadvantaged, he just pulled it right back, no problem, took it to mid and late game and crushed.
Yeah, I mean, we saw flashes of brilliance from Red Duck too, though.
Totally.
So I really hope that we see him stay in the scene and continue playing tournaments, because I think he shows a lot of promise for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, so congratulations once again to Hawk. We're going to do a player interview in a little bit, but first, I think we have a couple announcements we want to do. Oh, also one more thing before we start that. Remember, we have our Matcherino link. Should be posted in the chat somewhere. If you want to contribute 50 cents, you can use the coupon code or contribute directly. And that goes straight to the prize pool to the players. I think we're doing a 70-30 split between the winner and the loser. So both players are getting paid for their troubles. So yeah, if you want to contribute to the NA scene, help us keep doing what we're doing, that's a great way to do it for sure.
Yeah, and so a couple announcements. First, I believe it's already been announced on several StarCraft Discords, but we are launching our Rogues Gallery Discord server to the public today. So anyone who's interested in joining and supporting us, chatting with us, and playing in our future events is welcome to join that.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to announce, starting in about a month or so, we're planning a Turf Wars, a North American team league. We currently have about 20 to 25 players who have agreed to sign up for that. All North American top and up-and-coming talent from Canada, the United States, and Mexico.
Yeah.
We're probably going to end up with about 4 teams. The team captains will be Raz, an up-and-coming Protoss, Jaeyoon, Striker, and Dragon, who I think need no introduction to anyone familiar with the NA scene. And we also have a Matcherino set up for that, which will be closing 2 weeks from Sunday after the next and final Foul Play NA match. We have a couple stretch goals for that, including if we meet $75 in donations, we will have a live draft stream for the Turf Wars event. And then if we meet $125 in donations, we will have a live King of the Hill match between the 4 team captains streamed to determine the drafting order.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
It should be a lot of fun.
Super excited. I love team leagues, and especially for a scene that's kind of as small and tight-knit as North America, I think it's going to be super awesome. You're going to be seeing the same names week after week, and we're going to be able to kind of build the familiarity with the characters in the scene. So yeah, I'm really excited for this team league. I'm excited to hopefully be participating in it, hopefully not getting drafted last, but I mean, let's not go too crazy here. But yeah, I'm super excited about that. Obviously, more details will be coming out over the next coming weeks, but please check out that Matcherino if you're interested in supporting North American StarCraft. Yeah, and I think in just a couple seconds, we're going to get our winner, Hawk, in here for a quick interview. All right, so we're going to switch over right now. Hello, Hawk. Congratulations on your win today, 3-1. Pretty decisive. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I think those were pretty good games showcased. So hopefully it was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it was a good time. How are you feeling in that game on Optimizer after you saw kind of that quick early forward racks and then scouting into that kind of 2-port Wraith follow-up? Can you kind of walk us through a little bit of your the moment-to-moment thoughts you were having as you continued to scout the craziness that was that build?
Yeah, so I hate that build. It is a tough one. It,
Yeah,
it's easier in tournament if you're like really focused, but like whenever I hit it on ladder, I just always lose.
yeah,
You need to react super quickly and get both sunks up and then go up to Hydra. But what was really cool on Optimizer, and I didn't realize this, was once he got a vulture in to my main, even if I sunk to the main, he could fire from the natural. And if my lings just didn't get lucky there,
yeah,
I I feel like it would have been a much different game.
yeah.
Like
I agree.
that
That
would
is
have
a
been
cool part of the map.
Yeah. I thought the game was over, honestly, when those 2 vultures got into your main. And if he didn't make that 1 micro error, then I think you would have been completely at a loss there. But even with that micro error, I thought you were still in a really, really bad position. So it was really impressive to watch you come back from that.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough hill.
Yeah. Also, the game on Eclipse, you were really stuffed from taking a third base for such a long time, forced to make a bunch of sunks at your natural. When you had that whole Marine Medic army outside your nat before you had a third base, what was kind of your thought process there? How are you planning to deal with that? Was it all just dependent on that drone being able to sneak out the bottom side, or did you have another option as well?
Yeah, I didn't like to be in that position. Up until that point, when I got all the damage done in the main, I was feeling really good. I was at least like thinking I was even because I
Yeah.
killed so much. But then once I realized that I have all of my lurkers contained, and I was like, well,
Yeah.
what do I do here? And I think again, I just got a little bit lucky being able to sneak out some lurkers and take those bases earlier.
Yeah. Also, it seemed like Red Duck was super committed. Every single game he was going for that 2 racks, super early stim timing. Is that something you run into on ladder a lot, or is that something you've kind of forced to play against on the spot there?
Yeah, so that was once I saw it game one, you know, I got like the Ling attack, and then I had all the scouting I needed. It didn't connect to me that he hits really early
Yeah.
stim timings.
That Academy was coming down at like 30 seconds before most players do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I just assumed I was like, I got these Lings, I did damage. There's no way he can attack me this
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
And showed me wrong.
Yeah, I got both the casters, showed both the casters wrong too. We were both saying that one sunken was more than enough to hold off, but he just plowed on through regardless.
Yeah, it's a crazy timing. I think on that one you have to take your gas super early. Like
Mhm.
it's crazy tight build.
Yeah, for sure. And then the fast range is just as instrumental as the fast stem in that situation. So, yeah,
Yeah,
good job of handling that for sure.
I had a question about the last game actually, because I totally miscalled it in the game, and I think Red Duck did make the same miscall that I did. Based on the Eclipse game actually, where he was pretty disciplined about bringing his M&M force back to his base to defend your Mutalisk on top of his barracks, but eventually he just lost patience and went and killed your third, and then that's when you backstabbed and kind of made the game even again by killing so many SCVs in his main, right? So I was thinking that like maybe you were going to go for a similar strategy in the final game and just go for a Mutalisk all in and wait for him to kind of like lose patience again. But instead, you just banked on. Was it intentional? Were you expecting him to overcommit to like turrets in his main just to defend the Muto all in?
Yeah, you kind of have to. So the annoying part for Terran, if you lose too much to that Ling attack, is that there's no way to get scouting. So you don't know what Zerg is doing, and there's no good way to know. So you're pretty much forced to spam turrets, and some Zergs will just go straight muta and just do what they can. Um, I I don't know. Doing that doesn't seem to work too well for me, just because if Terran recognize and they spam turrets, I don't see like that winning the game.
Yeah.
But transitioning and denying scouting, that's I think really difficult for Terran to deal with.
Yeah,
Super uncomfortable.
definitely.
Yeah, for sure. And it paid off, obviously. It was really impressive to watch.
Yeah, definitely some big comebacks in those games too. So we really got to see the full gambit from both of you. So thank you so much for playing. Congratulations again on your big win. You got
Yeah.
any last words to give? Any shout outs to teams or practice partners, anything like that?
Yeah, my shout outs are just to you guys and everyone who organized it.
Oh,
Events like these are a lot of fun, and I enjoy them a lot. So, thank you so much.
yeah, of course, man.
You.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you guys later.
All right, and with that, that finishes our event today, our Rogues Gallery Foul Play NA. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Once again, check out those match arenas that we posted. Join our Discord for more announcements about events coming up soon. Keep an eye out on Team Liquid. And yeah, thank you so much. Thanks to Keen and Tim for joining me today.
Thank you for casting with me.
Yeah, of course. All right. Talk to you guys soon. Later.